So let's begin lapping.
This is just a rough guide. How to achieve perfection in lapping. My first ever attempt. Honestly, when we sat down to make this video, I had no idea what IHS and die lapping is.
Hi everyone! So today Arek gave me a task to lap the CPU. So the first thing we're gonna do is we have a deleted one here, one of old Intel's. There's a little bit of silicone left
inside of the IHS. To do that, we're just gonna first need a sponge with water. We've got a flat surface here, bit of water so that your sanding paper doesn't move. That's 1000 grit. Bit of water on the paper.
Bit more.
Okay, bit more. And without using the Nlap IHS, I'm just gonna slightly clean this.
Just 1 or 2 strokes.
Okay. Without the Nlap, this is really tricky.
Okay. You just need to clean silicone. It should be okay already.
Okay. Yeah, that already looks better. We can do one more time probably.
Yeah.
This is how the lapping looked like before the invention of Nlap.
Poor thing, guys.
So that's how it looks like at the moment.
Yep. Now we can wipe it.
So we are removing the other part of silicone.
That's a thermal conductive paste.
Okay, so we are removing the other part of thermal conductive paste now.
No, before was silicone, now is... yes.
Thermal conductive paste.
Of course, he has to argue with me all the time.
That comes off really easy. Okay. Okay. You can use a quite fine sanding paper like 2000 or 1000 and just simply sand around. Do I need water for that?
Yeah, yes, you put it.
So a little bit of water. So that this surface is quite clean. We need the surface to be parallel to fit the Nlap base.
So this will be our reference surface for the first step of IHS lapping. Next step is to fix the IHS into the Nlap. You already have nicely cut out space inside our lapping tool, but we need the Nlap to fit in quite securely and do not move. So to do that, each and every one of you will receive some blue tack inside the packages with your Nlap, and what you do, wipe with a little bit of like a rubbing alcohol the IHS. This way the blue tack will stick easier to the surface of it, and we first doing it on that surface, so roughly in the middle. Then you take your Nlap and then just gently push. Then you need to slightly move it around. You will definitely feel the moment when it will be secure.
You can tap it and you will hear if it's ringing. If it's not secure, it will ring.
So again, let's start lapping. we need flat surface, bowl with some water, sponge, and of course range of sanding paper, waterproof. We are starting at 240 and we go through different grid up to I think 2000, which
Yep.
is the finest one. Okay, so we need a little bit of water on the surface first. That way, if you put your sanding paper on, it won't slide too much, so it's like a glue. Then you put quite a good amount of water on the sanding paper. Grab your Nlap with IHS nicely fitting in. As you can see, So let's begin lapping. Start with slight circular movements. Do it a few times and then check if you can see that the lines are beginning to disappear. We can see that we have slightly line missing on that side, but nothing on that side. So you would probably think that you need to just, okay, I put it the same way and I just apply more pressure here. That's not the case.
We have reviewed our lapping technique, and this is not the way you should be doing it. Please check out our second video, the die lapping one, to see how it should be
The
done.
best way to do the lapping, as we reviewed our technique, is to move it up and down, but you have to make sure that the writing, the Nlap Die, is facing you and it is the right way up, really. Eventually you can turn it 180 degrees and also move it up and down. And you can see it looks more even now. So let's turn it again and keep going.
We are first polishing the Nlap to find our starting point.
Still looks quite even.
You can tell from looking at the lines that we remove roughly 0.05 millimeters of the surface.
So now you can see that we are beginning to finally lap the IHS. If you wanna be sure, then you can take something like a ruler and just simply check that you're touching it. Okay, so I think that's a good moment now to show you how exactly you're gonna measure how much you've lapped each side of your IHS. Let's record our starting point.
Let's start up here. So we've got roughly 0.125. Then up here we've got roughly 0.1. Let's move to this side again, 0.125 and again 0.1 of the first line. As we move along, we will see that this line will completely disappear and we'll go to the next one, then the next one, then another. We'll see what happens. So now we add up all four dimensions, divide by 4, and that's the starting point, 0.1125.
So now we continue lapping until we get to the copper on the IHS. You can do 8s, but Eric said it doesn't really
That
help.
is not true. You should only be moving it up and down, then turn 90
Then
degrees.
let's turn it 90 degrees and continue.
lighting is nearly gone. You can begin to see copper, yay, at the edges. So now you can see that we went through the first line and the second line is beginning to disappear right in the middle around the zeros right here. So now we'll continue to lap until we will see the copper surface all over the IHS. .01. So we've switched to 400 as we got just a little progress. Almost there. Again, a bit more progress. Let's keep going.
We are almost there.
There is just, I don't know if camera can catch it, but there's just a tiny hint of nickel still present. I'm gonna try to get rid of it. I'm gonna give it to expert so he can have a look.
Looks alright.
Okay, so let's see.
Now let's change the papers and go up the grid. So we had a 400, so you can put 600 again.
So we're back to 600.
Should be enough.
Okay. Give it to look nice and shiny.
Okay.
To see if you're ready for the next grid paper, start by moving your Nlap just in one direction. You begin to see lines. If those lines are only straight, like here, there's no other ones across, that means it's just the 600.
Making the scratches. To see this correctly, you will require a good light, best LED. You can clearly see that I have not checked it correctly here, and I should have been using the last grid longer. So next one up is 800. And we're gonna try to make lines in different directions.
A few moments later.
So at the moment you can... So now we're trying to remove the lines that were left by the last paper. I think they all gone now, you can see it here. So we've made lines with 800 paper and we will remove them with the next grid.
More moments later.
Let's see how much we had to polish to just have copper on the IHS. Let's start here. So roughly 0.04. Then down here we've got 4, 5, 6, let's say 6.5. And then that side 4, let's say 0.05, and let's say same here. So again we summarize those 4 and divide by 4, and it gives us the average of 0.05125. Okay, so we know that one line is 0.2 millimeters, so we just simply add that up and it gives us that much, minus our starting point. We removed 0.13875 millimeters of our IHS to get that.
So now that surface of IHS is ready, we can move on to that part of it. If you're gonna delete your 9900K, you have to remove quite thick layer of solder. Then after, if you would like to put your IHS back on the die, it will not touch it because it's gonna be too high. Hence, you can lap it and then it will ensure the close contact with the die. So we need to remember our starting point dimension, which we've recorded before. We're back to 600 sanding paper. Let's try to go down first by 0.1. So we could use measurements from our previous operation, but the other side of the IHS is not straight or even at all. You can see that I've just begun and we can see far more copper here than here, and this is also reflected by our measurement. You can see that we've got much more taken off here at the bottom compared to the top, whereas 5, 6 and again 5. That's a mistake done by me on purpose, and it can be also reflected on that side, so you can see that part is lapped far more than that. Let's try to correct it.
Moments later.
We've got 8, 10, 9 and 7, and it looks like that. So because we can see copper to start showing through here, we can say that this is our reference surface, and now we can lap as much as required for the certain die.
So if you are interested how did we do the die lapping with the Nlap Die, featuring our argument and a little accident of our daughter, which got us the Parents of the Year award, head to part 2. Thank you.